All right, it's Mr. Trewin, and we're back again for another little lesson here. We're going to do another little mini lesson. In this particular one, this lesson is focused on something called partitioning a segment. And what that means is we're going to divide it up, and we're not going to be finding the midpoint this time. We might find something a little bit different, like we might find a certain percentage of our the segment's length, or a different location on the segment, not located at the center though, not located at the midpoint. So we call this partitioning. When you're not at the middle, it's called partitioning. So right now, our question is, what are the coordinates of a point that's 3/5 of the way from A to B? All right, well, I'm going to take you back to our last lesson where we did a little bit of drawing, and I was kind of specific about the fact that I really like to draw it out, and where I begin is kind of dictated in this question by where I'm supposed to start. So let's look at this. I'm supposed to be traveling now. It says I want to be 3/5 of the way from A to B, which means I'm starting at A. Now, I like to figure out first the distance, my X values going left and right. I want to figure out going left and right how far I go. So it looks like, according to this picture, I'm going to be traveling from the value of 3 to the value of 13, which is total of 10
We're going to be testing
units.
Thor, so please do not be afraid of his roar. Again, we will be testing Thor. Do not be afraid of his roar.
All right, that's my school. That's the school
Have a great day.
intercom system. The odds of ever making a video without being interrupted are almost zero, so we're just going to roll with it. So again, I go from A at 3 to B at 13. I'm going to be traveling 10 units across the page, and that's because these are each of these boxes is representing 2. Now, when it comes to going up the page, I'm going to be going up the page from -4 all the way to 11. And like we talked about the other day, when you're traveling length, it's a negative value. Yeah, I start down in the negative, but I'm going up to 11, and I travel a total of 15 units. Because remember, distance can't be measured, or length can't be measured using negative values. I travel from 4 and 11, and that gives me a total of 15 units. All right. So I'm going up the page, because remember, it says here I'm going to go from A to B. This is the most important part, A to B. All right, so the deal is I'm not going to the midpoint. I'm not going to find the half of 10 and the half of 15 and draw a line or draw a dot, because I'm not finding the midpoint. I'm finding some location that is 3/5 of the way. Well, if you want to think about 3/5 as percentages, 3/5 is 60%, meaning I want to start at A, traveling, let's say this A is my location right now here at school, B is my house. Where am I at if I'm 60% of the way home? 60%. Now luckily GPS nowadays figures all this out for us, but let's see how they get those numbers. All right, step 1, let's talk X's. 10 units. Well, if I want to go 3/5 of that, 3/5 of 10, that's 3 times 10, 30. Divide by 5, 6. So I'm going to be going 6 across the page. Now, when it comes to the 15, 3/5 times 15. 3 times 15 is 45, divided by 5 gives me 9. That's how much I'm going to travel up the page. Now, this is the most critical part, because you really got to pay attention to where it is that you're going to travel. I know that I'm going from A to B, which means my starting location should be at A. And if I notice, if I'm going to go from A to B, I also need to know if I'm going to be adding the values or subtracting the values. And I can figure this out by looking at the picture. If I go from 3 to 13, that is an increase. I am going up in numbers, which means I need to be adding on the first value. Now, if I'm going to go from -4 to 11, again, that's an increase. -4 to 11, that's an increase. I'm going up the page, so I better add on the 9. Now, let's take a look at what to do. I started here. This is my original destination, so I need to add these values to these values. So A was originally 3, but now I need to add on 6. my other value was -4 for y, and I need to add on 9. So my new location, the coordinates 3/5 of the way, if I take that original a value, my new location is going to be 9, 5, because 3 plus 6 is 9, -4 plus 9 is 5. Well, let's see if that makes any sense. So here we are at the origin, count over to 9, and then up to 5. I'll tell you what, that looks like it's right on to me, because I know that it's a little bit past half, because 3/5 is 60%, so I'm past the halfway point, which is probably right about there. And I know that that's the correct answer. So again, there are a lot of things to keep track of. I had to keep track of where I was going and which path I was going to take to get there, and how far or how much of it to use. So let's do a second one. And hopefully you can stay a little bit ahead of me on this one. But in this problem, I'm going to make a change up. I want to do a change up because I want to make this problem, this would be, if I left it the way it is right now, this problem is the exact same problem that we just did, and I don't really feel like doing the same problem twice, because I don't think that's productive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you and the rest of the kids, I'm going to say, let's scratch that out. Let's say from point B to A. Let's make this a little bit different. Instead of going from home to school, why don't I go from school to home, or vice versa, whatever. I'm going to switch it up. So I'm going to start at B this time. Now I'm going to be traveling from B to A. This changes things, and I want to make sure that you understand why it changes things when I go to draw. So this time I'm going to start here, and I'm going to go to here. All right, so I need to figure out 7/10 of this. So the first thing I need to do is figure out the distance, the number of units between A and B. So I'm going to count this way this time. And it should be the same distance. I'm just traveling backwards, so it's still 10. I'm still going to be traveling 10 units. The difference is that I'm going to be traveling this way. Now, the second part is I'm going to be going from 11 down to -4. But because our length cannot be expressed as a negative value, we're going to just say the same thing as before, 15 units, but we're going down the page. Okay, that's going to change something, and I'm going to show you that in a moment. But first thing we need to do is first figure out, let's do the 7/10. Let's do our math here. 7/10 of 10. Okay, so 7/10 of 10. 7 times 10 is 70, and divided by 10 is 7. So that gives me 7 units. But remember, since I'm going to travel from B to A this time, I won't be traveling in the same direction. I'm going to be going this way. Now the second one is 15. So I've got 7/10 of 15. So 7 times 15 is 105, and divided by 10 gives me 10.5. But remember, this time I'm traveling back, not the way I traveled before. Last time this was school and this was home. This time I'm going from home to school. But I'm going to be going this way. All of this is super important, because right now I have to figure out where I'm at. So, being as though I traveled in this distance, let's think about that. If I go on a number line and I start at 13 and I travel towards 3, did I increase the numbers or decrease the numbers as I go across the page? I'm decreasing the numbers. So if I'm going to go from B to A, these numbers should be going down. So I'm going to be subtracting when it comes to this distance, because I'm going in a negative value. And then when I go from positive 11 all the way down to -4, once again, I'm taking away, making the number smaller, because I'm going down the page. All right, so let's say, where did I start again? Oh, I started at B. So my B value started at 13, and I need to take away 7. And then my other value was 11, and I need to take away 10.5. So my end result is 13 minus 7 is 6. 11 minus 10.5 is 0.5, if we're going to do decimals. And let's see if that makes sense. Let's see if that's where I'm going to be on the graph. Okay, so 70%. So that says go over 6. There's 2, 4, 6. And then go down approximately a half. So that would be about, or go up about a half. And that would be right there. Let's think about that. Does that look about 70% of the way home? Or 70 of the way, I'm sorry, this case was 70% of the way to school. This is probably the halfway point. So that makes like an answer that I can swallow. I think that is a decent answer. So I'm gonna go with that, and the answer is 6, 0.5. And this is called partitioning a segment. All right, thank you.